Speak No Evil should have been called James Atlas McAvoy because Homeboy carries the entire film on his shoulders all alone. It's the classic, we're on a vacation, meet a quirky couple, then decide to just start making very dumb and illogical decisions about literally everything. You have seen this one before. This is the one that you wanted to walk out of but didn't. You know, we have been sold on the horror slasher thriller starring James McAvoy as its lead. That's why we bought our ticket. But after nothing happening for an hour and 20 minutes, and that is not an exaggeration, the movie is an hour and 50 minutes long. So you do the math on that. It doesn't matter how you got me here in the theater seat because I don't want to be in this theater seat anymore. These are just the all-time worst parents ever. At first, this is what you expect. This is how movies go. This is how they build their suspense. You know, the characters will make a bad decision and then they will kind of get away with it. But then, something's just waiting around the corner, ready to grab them. It's going to slowly ramp up, right? Well, imagine if it never ramps up. If every time Timmy drops the dynamite, it never blows up. And little Timmy in this movie drops that thing over and over an hour before it finally blows up at the very end, after you're bored, after you're unengaged, you're not interested anymore. So at that point, it just really doesn't matter that the dynamite even exploded because you're checked out. There is one other thing I respected about the movie, and that is when shit finally hits the fan. The parent role reversal is done really well and believable, and it doesn't feel patronizing like in a lot of recent movies. So when the dad is incompetent and scared and it's the mom who is the badass protecting her family, it's really good and it's believable and it lands. But it's really too bad that only lasted maybe like 15 minutes. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your money unless you just really love James McAvoy. Now, let's talk spoilers. It wants to work, and the bones of a good movie are there. Like making her eat the goose even though she's a pescatarian, the fight at the restaurant about her being a fake environmentalist, his temper tantrums, all these things, like they're there, but it just keeps going and going, and they're spaced out so far. Like things need to have happened faster and just been more engaging. Like how many times are you going to make the audience listen to Cotton Eye Joe, for hell's sake? Huge nitpick here. The Tesla being driven out in the middle of nowhere, never being charged, them leaving and then going back and then leaving again, and that sucker still has power. Huge nitpick, I said, but like it really could have been used as like a good, believable plot point that it would run out of juice. Now, speaking of turning back, Hoppy, the rabbit, wins the award for the dumbest plot motivator ever. I will say this, the little doctor cliche, like when he fakes him out, I am not actually a doctor, but I am a doctor. It got me. It actually got me, and it was a decently enjoyable part of the movie. There's a couple times at the beginning, the poopy finger. I was laughing, but it was all James McAvoy. He was the only thing that was like keeping me entertained and keeping me engaged. Poor guy. He can't just carry the entire film. You got to have a decent script. The hour mark is when we find out that the kid isn't their actual kid. And by then, like I said, it's just so late. Like, you just don't care anymore. And then after that, it takes 20 more minutes before the actual showdown at the house that only lasts like 15 minutes. And then when the cook shows up to like help them fight, I literally laughed out loud. There's parts that I was laughing that I wasn't supposed to laugh. Like when they were screaming on top of the hill because his wife was texting behind his back, like flirting with another guy. I laughed out loud, but it just was so funny. It just was so dumb. And then, the battle inside the house, it wasn't, but it sort of had this like Home Alone type of vibe where, every time they would meet, have a conflict, and then separate, and then meet, have a conflict, but no, there was no like detrimental consequences. It just was like, they would meet, she'd spray some poison in his face, and then, he'd be all mad and scream, and then like someone would get cut or hurt, and then they'd keep moving, and it just was like nothing. It just was more of the same of the movie where things were happening, but it didn't really matter that they were happening until finally when people started actually dying, then they all died quickly. So yeah, if I haven't made it clear enough already, I did not like the movie. 2 stars. Didn't like it. If you did like it, put something down in the comments about what about it you liked other than James, because obviously he's good, and I'll respond to you down there. And if you agree with me, put something, I'll respond to you there too. Still trying to hit 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year. I can only do it with your guys' help. So if you just click that button down below, I would be very grateful. And yeah, thanks for spending some time watching my videos, and I'll see you in the next one.